The Phil Bickford move that happened before the game yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes.
Yeah.
Odd. I get it, but also it threw me. It threw me for a bit of a loop because not a loop, but I don't know. It just threw me off because you're bringing back Phil Bickford. You know, you get rid of Clevenger. Obviously, he's the guy who was gonna go. It got me thinking, man. 16 pitchers is just so many pitchers, which is what they have right now with the 28-man expanded rosters. The rosters dropped to 26 in May. The Dodgers are expecting to get back Caleb Ferguson, Tommy Kahnle, Victor Gonzalez is a guy that's going to be in there. I don't know where they're fitting all these arms.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, but then it's a bad problem to have because you got to cut guys that could, or not
Justin
cut guys,
Brule,
but
he'll be gone.
I think Brule, Evan Phillips has had some success early on with, he's another guy that's benefited from that Dodgers slider that you mentioned earlier when it comes to 5 inches of horizontal break, elite stuff. But they're going to go with their familiar guys. The guys that, look, they didn't sign Tommy Kahnle to when he was to miss a year, not to use him this year. And he actually looked filthy against the Angels at Dodger Stadium. That changeup, he had the feel for it already.
He's a dude that's been nasty in his career.
He's nasty. He's pitched with the Yankees in a big market with a big team. And you know that they think he's going to be a postseason high-leverage guy, a guy they can trust in those situations. When we talk about Phil Bickford, he was one of the reclamation projects that worked out for the Dodgers last season. One of those water to wine guys that this Dodgers team, this Dodgers developmental staff found last year. And when you talk about Phil Bickford, I think the big takeaway is the fact that they can get so much out of him. Last year, he appeared in 48.1% of the game, 48.7% of the games where he was active last season. So he truly was the rubber arm for the Dodgers last season, a 164 ERA plus, and first of all, elite show flow. Okay, and that to me is a factor. Okay, and when we talk about Phil Bickford, he's a guy that I trust on the mound, and he's a guy that comes out there, fireman situations, and he's a guy you have to conclude in there. Of course, you know you're going to get Craig Kimbrell, who comes out, his sweet child of mine, a little different vibe than California Love.
Yeah, go ahead.
But Craig Kimbrell, of course, Blake Trinan, we know, a top 10 reliever. The Dodgers, high leverage. Brusdar, Gratterall. I think with Brusdar early on, like I said, extremely small sample size. The swing and miss isn't still where you want it to be. The walks are a little up. It's not his thing.
It's never going to be his thing.
It's not his thing for sure. There's no question about it. And the reality is he throws so many strikes. He doesn't have that extension. And look, he induces soft contact. And it's about getting outs for Brusdar, Gratterall. Yeah. But you do want to see him keep hitters a little more off balance with the use of that slider and possibly that cutter that we've heard about back in spring training. So he's going to be in there. Phil Bickford, Tommy Kahnle. I think Alex Vesia is a very interesting one to talk about because
you can't send him to AAA.
And, the thing about Vesia, look, last season when he came back up, he was lights out. And with Vesia, like I said, you don't mess with Vesia. And it was the electricity on his heater. It's not like he's a plus fastball guy. It's the run on it. It's the movement and the way he dots it. And this season, it hasn't been as effective as it was last year. Opponents... Small sample size, hitting 250 off it this year, hitting 400.
Well, his location is still struggling early on. You can see the command is not there, and that's what really set him on the path that created the version of Alex Vesia that was getting standing ovations at Dodger Stadium in the postseason.
Yeah, no,
he's not there yet. He's going to be that guy. They're going to need that guy. But if he needs, if there's a point where they feel they can sell out and say, "Oh, we want you to work on something a little bit at AAA for a bit, see what you get out of."
And you saw how much you benefited from that last season. But
and you're gonna have Flaco, Victor Gonzalez, possibly being a dude who we've seen get it done at that biggest stage in all of baseball in the World Series. A lot of big problems I have. Plus, we go a bit deeper into the season, and these are all the type of things that figure themselves out with injuries or et cetera. But show flow, Dustin May is a dude who's going to be back somewhere down the road. Danny Duffy is a guy they signed to be a left-handed length option out of the bullpen later in the season. A lot of problems.
And also what happens to Trevor Bauer. Because if Trevor Bauer, based on what happens with him, and also if the Dodgers do kind of sniff around and maybe go to market for another starting pitcher if they think they need one.
Which at this point they absolutely do.
They do, yeah.
I feel Bauer or no, they need.
No, yeah. I mean, the long run, absolutely. You have to consider it
unless
for sure.
Unless you piecemeal, you know, you keep having success with this opener-ish, piggyback-ish role with, you know, the 4 and 5 spots being some amalgamation of Tony and Tyler Anderson and, well, I guess probably not Kershaw, but, you know, you're getting these dudes to be that guy. You still have Andre Jackson, who could be somebody to get you innings later. Ryan Pepio is going to be a dude who helps out definitely this season, friend of the show. We're going to have other people like
Mitch,
Billy Miller,
Bobby Miller, yeah.
Man, words got hard. Sorry,
Bobby's world. It's Miller time, baby.
I got distracted by a message. I got to turn off that notification there.
Mitch White's another guy and give you multiple innings. So you look good in one inning, and then the other inning kind of fell off with his command a little bit. But he's a guy that.
The point is, a lot of Daniel Hudson's been great, and he's not going to be a guy that they get rid of in any way unless he absolutely just torches it.
His fastball's
good
electric.
Problems to have, but also some very, very tough decisions upcoming as soon as May 1st when the rosters drop back down. I mean, it's easy to just drop two because that's right away. It's going to be Justin Brule and Evan Phillips. But when you need to now bring in Canely, who was signed to be a major league pitcher for this team, I don't know where you missed that, where you get that spot. Mitch White, sure, but now you're losing a length guy. You're losing a dude who can get you 3, 4, 5, 6 innings out of the bullpen if needed, or a spot start. Canely, we got an interview with Canely. Our Tim Rogers got an interview with Canely last week out there in a rehab outing in Rancho, where his big thing is working on back-to-back. He's working on still bouncing back, maybe not quite where he wants to be or expected to be yet coming off of this Tommy John surgery. But even if he comes back and he's a dude who's a 1 inning every other day kind of guy, that ends up hurting your bullpen a lot more than having maybe a 4 ERA Mitch White who gets you a bunch of innings or something like that. But again, we don't make these decisions.
I also got to talk about David Price. David Price, he's giving up one hit. That one hit was a bomb.
A very odd man out. Still.
But I think you may bring up a really good point as far as guys that can give you multiple innings of relief. So far, the bullpen, they pitched in 37 of the Dodgers' 79 innings. That's 46.8% of the time, a 2.92 ERA. And you can tell the game plan early on with the short spring training is to lean on this Dodgers bullpen early on. And they've stockpiled it with depth, and you're seeing across the board from top to bottom guys that they can do different things, guys that lefties, righties, guys that can give you multiple innings of relief, guys that can miss bats. And I think the variety out of that Dodgers bullpen is what makes it so dangerous and such a quality bullpen early on this season. But yeah, it's going to be tough to see what decisions they're going to make. And I think they're going to go with guys they're familiar with, guys that they know they can trust in these high leverage situations. And they're also going to know that injuries are going to occur throughout the year. And you're going to have guys coming up and down all season long. And you're not going to run into the same problem last year where they had 39 guys pitch for them last season. So I think that if they can avoid that problem, have a little more consistency out of that bullpen, still remain effective, I think that's going to be big. But like I said, it's a good problem to have. I think the addition of Craig Kimbrell to kind of lengthen that bullpen and put guys in familiar roles, I think it's going to pay dividends. And I love the fact that they still have Blake Trinan in that spot where he is the fireman. He is BTFD, Blake Trinan Fire Department, going out there and putting out the fires. And you have Craig Kimbrell, who you saw the Moustakas. He fell down 3-0 the game I was at. Sometimes the command early in appearances can be an issue with Kimbrell, but if you look at his peripherals as far as velocity, he still has it. So that tells me that he can be that .49 ERA guy that he was with the Cubs. So I do like that addition. And obviously, it's hindsight, but Pollock has already gone down with an injury. And unfortunately, he'll get better soon, Pollock. We love you, Pollo. But I think it was the right move for the Dodgers, and they realize that this game is increasingly becoming a bullpen game. The Dodgers, they have a complement of arms.